Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is an ear tutorial, but it's also a collaboration hosted by the Siskateers. Those lovely ladies are the ones who host Year of the Ear, which is a monthly DIY ear swap. If you guys missed it, I participated for the month of April, and the theme was recycled. So I chose to make these Tinkerbell inspired Mickey ears, and I'm going to be showing you guys how I made them. I have all of the participating channels linked down below, so make sure that you go check out those ladies' tutorials as well. And without further ado, let's jump into this one. The first step for this tutorial is going to be taking some of this floral wire. Mine is about 22 gauge and I do get them from Dollar Tree, but I have not seen this sold at Dollar Tree in a really long time. So I do have an alternative type of wire from Amazon linked in my Amazon storefront if you guys are in need. But I start out by wrapping it around a 4-inch diameter candle. The ones from Bath & Body Works are the ones that I personally use, but obviously you can get a 4-inch diameter cup or something like that, just to give you the general shape of the ear. And then I cut off excess around that as well, just so that I have plenty to glue down onto my headband. And then I'm going to be using this trim that I have. It's kind of like a rope trim, but it also has little leaves woven into it, and it just really reminded me of like Neverland and Tinkerbell. So I'm going to stick my wire through the rope and then get it all the way around my wire, if that makes sense, because that's what's going to cover the wire base. And then I'm going to cut off the excess, but make sure I leave myself a good bit to work with. After you've cut off the excess rope, then we're going to start shaping the bottom of the ear. So I still have that curved portion on the top half, but now we have this excess wire to work with. So I kind of just eyeball this and I start to twist the two bottom wires together, creating more of a flatness to it. So if you guys look, it'll look more like a circular top and a flat bottom, and then we will mold this closer to the shape of the headband later on. But you really just want to get those two bottom wires twisted together because it's going to give you a nice base to glue this down. Now, if your wire is getting kind of deformed as you're working, don't stress about it, because this wire is super easy to work with and reshape. And that's kind of what I love about it, because even if you pack these for a trip and they get squished in your suitcase, you can easily fix them. But right now I'm just folding or wrapping the two ends together so that I can form more of that ear shape and less of like a straight up circle. I am going to go ahead and attach the Tinkerbell, but I will tell you guys, I didn't take the right angle into account. So you're going to see me attach her now, but you're also going to see me reattach her later. So she is a keychain from Dollar Tree, super convenient and affordable, and her face is not super funky, which is rare for Dollar Tree things. I love Dollar Tree, but you guys know. Anyway, so I'm going to be using some jewelry string. It's like kind of like fishing line, but it's stretchier. And I'm going to be looping this through that little loop on the top of her head, and this is how we're going to make it look like she's flying under the ear. And then I'm just going to tie this into a knot. Now, again, I'm going to show you a better way of doing this so that she falls in a nicer place when you're actually wearing the ears on your head, because right now, as I'm holding it on the table, it looks great, but once I put it on the headband, she's kind of like banging into the side of the ear. And then next I'm just going to glue into place that braided trim so that it doesn't unravel on this ear. So here you can see both of the ears and how they're not perfectly formed to the headband, and that's okay because this wire is super flexible and it's going to work with us really easily. So I just created the general shape, and then I'm going to put hot glue on the bottom, and then I'm just going to firmly press this down onto the headband. And I am bending the wire just the slightest bit as I let this glue dry in place. This is a really important thing to note, is that you really do need to hold the ear and allow the glue to fully cool down, set, and dry, because you want to make sure that you get a really nice adherence from ear to headband. And then we'll also go in and reinforce it with little embellishments in a little bit. But I'm going to do that same step on the second ear, making sure that Tinkerbell is out of the way. But again, I'm about to detach her and reattach her, so it's okay if she's in the way. So this is when I held the ears up and noticed that Tinkerbell didn't look right, and so I am going to go ahead and just cut the little jewelry string off of the ears carefully so that I don't like cut the trim or something on accident. But if you look, she's just not, it doesn't look right. So I took the time and made sure that I did this right. I cut her off, and then I needed the headband to sit like it does on someone's head. So being just so ingenuitive, I took a can of hairspray and taped my headband onto the can of hairspray to emulate the headband being pointing upward for gravity purposes. Science. Once I had the headband taped down, then I just took some more of that jewelry string, and then I am looping Tinkerbell back around the same ear, but this time she is nice and suspended and floating, and so I'm just going to triple knot that jewelry string to really give it a nice hold. And then I also am going to go in with just a dot of hot glue just to really secure it, and I think I folded over one of the little leaves on top of it. It helped to hide the string, but it also just made me feel like it was really secure at that point. And then because the glue was showing a little bit too much, you can see it above Tinkerbell there, I cut off some excess leaves and just added those on top to cover it up. So next we're going to add some kind of floral and forest type embellishments. I honestly just went through the stash that I had and cut off ones that I liked. I did cut them pretty short because I wanted to make sure that they didn't cover up Tinkerbell and that I had plenty of space to add the little lost hidden things that I wanted to sneak in there. But I did find that things that I could make it look like they were growing up out of the headband is what looked best. So if you do end up picking up some new stuff for this project, I would just look at it as what is teeny tiny, but still looks detailed. Here's a close-up of what I had so far. It was mostly leaves and a few of these really tiny pink kind of blossoms. And then I did decide to add these darker purple ones just because I liked the pop of purple with the green. Also, does anybody else think of purple when they think of Tinkerbell? Like, obviously green, but purple too in my head. Anyway, so I glued a couple of those on and just made sure that they didn't take up too much space. And next we're going to start adding all of our lost things. So I do have these buttons that are buttons of buttons, which is weird, but they're the only normal type of buttons that I have. And then I also have this little Mickey shaped one. So I'm going to be adding those in because of all like the sewing type of notions that make me think of Peter Pan. I did pop the back off of that button shaped button because it made it look more like a real button. I promise I'm not going to keep saying that word. And then I did it again because I had two of those, and I'm going to be adding that one along with this little Mickey one. The next thing is going to be this little teeny tiny glass bottle that I got in a pack from Dollar Tree. It is glass, so definitely like proceed with caution, make sure that it's not going to break. But I also wanted to make it look like this giant pixie dust bottle that I made myself a couple years ago. And I added just some gold glitter, and then I'm going to hot glue in that cork so that it stays nice and closed. And I'm just going to glue this down into the background. I don't know if you guys felt like this, but I absolutely loved the Tinkerbell movies that they made a few years ago with all like the fairy friends. I was so excited when my girls got into those movies because I just love them. But I really liked the little pixie dust bottle because it reminded me more of those movies. And I'm just going to be gluing this down into the background. I do like it poking out, but then not looking like it's just glued randomly. I also am going to be adding a couple more things that are just random, but they're in my craft room. So I found this teeny tiny fork from when I made Ariel ears, and I added a dingle hopper, and I snapped off the bottom because I wanted to make it look like it was sticking up out of the ground, like it's something Tinkerbell would find. And then as a fun little detail, I decided to add in some silver bells that I had from my Christmas stash, so that they would jingle like Tinkerbell and make kind of the bell noise when you move around. I just thought that was kind of a fun addition. And then the last couple things I'm going to be adding are these little Scrabble tiles that I had in my stash, and luckily I had the letters to spell out Tink. So I'm going to be writing, or not writing, but I'm going to be gluing these where you would kind of normally put a bow. Before I do that, I'm going to add this little button that I have that looks like a thimble because it reminds me of the kiss from Peter Pan. And then I was kind of playing with adding like a bottle cap somewhere or something, but I didn't want to overload them and I really wanted to add these little Scrabble tiles. So I do end up ripping off things that I'd already glued to fit these in because I wanted them to be front and center. So I'm just adding glue to the bottom of them and then firmly pressing those down. And I didn't want them perfectly lined up, so they do overlap just a little bit. After I got the Scrabble tiles glued down, then I went back and glued back in the button and the thimble that I had ripped off, and got them into better places. After the ears were at this point, I really wanted some more texture, so I dug through my floral stash once more and just pulled out some things that had different types of texture to them. And I'm gluing these on the back because I wanted to make sure that these look really finished from front to back. So adding a little bit more greenery and really giving the base of the headband a nice look. To keep going with this theme of lost things in the forest, if you will, I decided to add a few of those teeny tiny little pink blossoms to look like they were growing between the Scrabble tiles, and that was the last thing that I added. I think these came out so cute. I do fully plan to make myself a pair since this pair I sent off to somebody else, but you guys have to let me know what you think of these, and do they remind you of Tinkerbell? Do they remind you of Neverland? Also, what were your opinion on the original Tinkerbell and Fairy movies? I'm very curious. You guys let me know down below. Be sure to check out everybody else involved in this collab. I have all of their channels linked down below for you guys, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!